Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Bear Homesteading the Desert. And guess what? We're looking at back of my ATV and my little garden wagon with 60 gallons of water, or used to be 60 gallons. Two of those are empty already, and the other one has got about 5 gallons taken out of it. And you see over here on the back, I've got a positive and a negative connection. And I'm going to modify that a little bit down the line. But the reason I did that was this transfer pump is a 12-volt transfer pump, and it's got these alligator clips or battery clips on it. And every time I would use this to transfer water into my shower and into the chicken feeder and so forth and so on, I had to pull the seat up and hook onto the battery. And then I had to disconnect everything to move to the next location and then reconnect everything. So what I did was I made up a couple of little jumpers that come off the battery and came back here into the plastic. And I didn't put the wires on the inside where they'd get all tangled with other stuff I carry. But I put them on the outside, and that also tells me which one's positive and which one's negative. And then I just clip on right there, and I can run my transfer pump and pump water into wherever I want to do. And the reason I haven't shot a video in the last couple of days is the wind. The wind has been hellacious out here. I mean, we were having 30-mile-an-hour gusts, and I just put the ladder up so that I could go up on the roof and show you the roof seal that I did. And I turned around to show you the ATV, and the wind blew the ladder over. So while the wind is calm, I'm going to get up here and get this over with. Look at that. Nice and white. And this is 100% silicone. And that's 2 coats of it on there. That's not going to leak. So I'm happy with that now. And I won't have water flowing down onto the porch anymore. It's going to run into the gutter and into my rain barrel. So that stuff is called Tropicool, and I bought it at Home Depot. There's a gallon of it down here. I showed it to you in another video, but let me bring this up. This is the good stuff. This is 100% silicone. This is 100% waterproof. This is rain safe in 15 minutes. This is really, really good stuff. If you're going to buy any of this to coat your roofs or your decks or whatever else you want to coat, motorhomes, trailers, all of those, this is flexible. It feels like a nice soft rubber when it's dry. It's just an excellent product. So spend a little bit more and go for the 100% silicone. Don't buy the acrylic. I've used that stuff before. It cracks and leaks within a year's time. It's not worth your time or your money. All right, the other thing I did, oh, there goes the ladder again. Look at the turbine spinning. It looks slow motion in the video, but it's really moving. All right, I noticed that my shower was starting to sink in the ground over on this side because of the weight of those 2 barrels. And taking a shower, getting the ground wet, and it kept sinking and sinking. And this corner was going down faster than that corner because that corner has that 3-foot steel stake. Well, now this one has a steel stake. So what I did was I tied a rope around this thing and brought it over to the ATV and hooked it on the ATV. And I pulled this thing back up into a level position. And then I tamped the dirt down underneath it and refastened, put a few screws here and there where I needed them because this thing was getting a little rickety from the wind. And that's all done. So I got both my barrels full right to the top, and I'll be taking a shower here in a little while. That tank is empty. That's got to get down and get filled before the winter. I'll be doing that, but not right away. Got other things in line. All right. I drained some of the water off my barrels because I've been watering plants. And one thing I did find is, it's strange, normally you find the cutworms on tomatoes. I found these little tiny green cutworms, caterpillars on my carrot greens. And for 2 days in a row, I've been pulling those off of there. And the way I get rid of them, normally I could just feed them to the chickens. But I didn't feel like walking across the yard with this little tiny worm that 8 chickens were going to fight off of. So what I'd do is I'd pull them out of there and just toss them through the screen. And it took like 30 seconds for 1,000 ants to attack it. And they ate it all up. All right. I took the covers off my pepper plants, and they're growing a little bit better now. Those covers don't really do much like I had them there for the grow things through, so I don't think I'm going to be using covers from now on. If anything, I'll put a little evaporative cloth down on the soil to help keep the moisture in. My tomatoes are really getting robust here. I did have a cutworm on that tomato plant. As you can see, it ate up a bunch of stuff, and I got him off of there. This tree is outgrowing this tree, and it's in a smaller pot, but I don't know why it's doing that, but that's fine with me. These things have grown quite a bit in this past couple of months, and next year I might even get some shade out of those. Same thing with my little holly oak. Oak trees take a long time to grow. You don't see holly oaks or you don't see oak trees in the desert, but I'm going to have one way or another. Everything else, the potatoes, they're getting ready to harvest. My cloud potatoes over here, I still have one plant that's pretty hardy, but I'm going to be getting my sifter screen ready, and I'm going to dump that bucket out on there, and I'll show you guys what I got down in there for potatoes. I've got something growing down in here. I don't know what it is. It's a volunteer of some kind. Let it grow. We'll see what it does. If it's nothing worth saving, it'll go into the compost pile. All right, tomatoes are doing great. The tangerine trees don't really like the heat out here, and they're not going to like the cold in the winter. So that was an experiment. We'll see what happens with those. I may have to put those in a controlled environment. Everything else here has got plenty of green growth on it, except my royal apricot. This apricot tree doesn't look like it's going to make it. I don't know what went on this year with apricots, but I know a couple other people that had problems with them too. All right, let's move on out of there. And I just pumped some water into all these barrels. They're all full. This one's not full because I'm going to transfer water from my big water tank up there into it. And I've got to get that water tank emptied down. I've got one cracked board underneath that I need to address, so I'm going to have to slide that tank out of place to do that. So in the meantime, I'll go back to what I did originally before the water tank. And those 2 barrels on top of the shower will give me my water for the cabin, because that's still hooked up to the cabin. I just have the valve shut off going in. And that'll give me my water to the cabin while I'm doing the work on the big water tank. I'm going to get this ladder down before it cold cocks me. And I get an extra nap. Okay, next was, if you watched my video from Christmas 2017, I did a smoked ham out here in my smoker. I did it in that red smoker. And I use what they call the snake method of setting up the charcoal. Last night I did a beef round rump roast in here. And I did the same thing because I had to cook it 4 to 5 hours over a low 200 heat. So I had my drip pan on this side, and you can see the way the charcoal's burnt. I did a half moon there, and I had 3 on the bottom, 2 on top of that, and then 1 on top of that. And then 1/3 of the way, 2/3 of the way, and right at the end, I put some hickory smoker pellets on top of all of that. Then I just lit this end. And I let the coals get nice and gray there on the end of it. Put my roast on top of the nice clean pan. And another little tip is what I use for a drip pan are the 9x9 aluminum disposable cake pans that you can buy in the store. You see them on sale every now and then, 50 cents for two, things like that. I always grab those. And I use them for drip pans under everything that I'm cooking in my barbecue. That's great. So I had that underneath here. I had my roast on there. I had this thing covered and smoking. And I put a gauge on there because this one doesn't come with it. Weber should put gauges on theirs. This is a really good barbecue. It's a kettle barbecue. You can grill on this. You can indirect cook on this. You can smoke on this. All kinds of things. And the other thing I like is these little flip-ups on the end here for adding coals without having to lift everything and take your food out of here and set the cover off to one side and lose all your heat. So I can just tilt the cover, flip this over, drop some coals in if I had to, and put it back. This one I didn't have to. The amount of coals and smoker pellets I used in there went exactly 5 hours. It was perfect. That roast came out so delicious. And I'm going to give you a little idea of a recipe I use. I had a 3-pound rump roast, and it was a round. So I mixed together, and I do this in a plastic food storage tray. I mix together a teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of paprika, and a half a teaspoon of onion powder. And then I marinate for about a half an hour. I marinate the meat in Worcestershire sauce. Then I take it out of the Worcestershire sauce and I generously sprinkle all of the other ingredients, the dry ingredients, over the whole roast, all the way around, cover every side of it. And the Worcestershire sauce helps hold that in, and it adds to the flavor. And then cook it at 200 degrees in a smoker for 4 or 5, sometimes 5.5 hours. And just wait till you get it up to 145 degrees internal temperature. Just delicious. You'll love it. All right, I'm going to run out of time here. So there were a few other things I wanted to do. The scrapers came through and scraped the roads, got us up to smooth roads again. Only problem with that is some people up the hill, when it's smooth like that, they come down and they're doing 65 on that road. It's just crazy. Everybody's shocks bounce on the road, and we get the washboard effect back in no time at all. Me, I just creep on down the road. I'm in no rush to go anywhere. I'm in a rush to keep on living. That's all there is. All right. I did put an outdoor chicken roost for the chickens. They haven't been using it much. Only 2 of the hens go up there. They like that. I just fed them their treats. I got 6 eggs out of there yesterday. I just looked and there's 5 more in there now. There'll probably be 6 when I go to take them all out here in the next half hour. But that's about all there is to it. Just remember, down at the bottom, click the thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you will. Turn your phone, if you're viewing this on a cell phone or a smartphone, turn your phone vertical in its normal position this way, and then you can scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll find a place to leave comments. Leave me a comment, questions, whatever you want at the bottom. All of that stuff helps. And right now, I'm only 64 subscribers away from 1,000. I'd like to get up there. So I'd appreciate anybody out there, all of my friends, all my followers, everybody who subscribed to my channel. Please send a little tip to your friends. Say, hey, check this guy out. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. And G Bear signing off.